Good afternoon. This is Thomas Brickner, your instructor for Physical Science 1121, the online section 0W59. I want to go through a few of the syllabus details here in YouTube. You can already read about them in web courses. First thing I want to talk about is the basic procedure. You're basically going to be mirroring the lecture hall students, but with a few differences. So you'll view the lectures in YouTube, and you have your choice of looking at the 9 o'clock or the 10:30 lecture, or you can look at both. And I usually publish both, unless there's some kind of a glitch, which happens sometimes, but you can study those as if you're going to lecture. Now, you're going to have the textbook eventually, and I'll talk a little more about that later. We'll also have homework assignments, and those will be in web courses and in the textbook website as soon as that gets activated. Right now, we've got homework 1 running, and that's in web courses, so go ahead and tackle that. Our assignments for homework in the online class are always due on Tuesday. So if I assign, today's Friday, so I assign something today and it's due next Tuesday. If I assign something for my lecture hall students next Tuesday, for them it'll be due on Thursday, the very next lecture, but for you, it's due the following Tuesday. So it's a little bit different schedule for you guys. Online office hours, we'll do that in Adobe Connect, and there's a page for that inside web courses. You can look at it. Midterm exams and final exams, that's it. And then we figure out what your semester grade is. So that's basically it. You're working parallel to the lecture hall students, but there are a few differences, so let's go through some of the differences, all right, because it is an online class. For one thing, you don't need to get an iClicker, unless you have it for your other class, but not for this one. The exam schedule is a little bit different. Let's go through it. Your guys' exams are going to be on Wednesdays. Here's the schedule. September 19th, October 17th, November 21st. Those are midterm exams. Finals on Saturday, December 8th. And that's a cumulative final. The availability for the online exams is over 12 hours usually. And for the, and you can see that 10:05 a.m. is usually when I get them started for the midterms, and then 8 a.m. for the final. On a midterm, you get a 60-minute interval of time. So you have flexibility as to when you start, but once you start, you have to take 60 minutes. And then the final exam, oh my goodness, 170 minutes. That's the regulation UCF exam period. So it should be more than enough for the final. And you have to submit it by 11:59 p.m. that same day. So you have some flexibility, but it's not like a whole week. It's all in one day. Getting this timing right, reporting for your exam, and making sure that your exam, you have free time, that is your responsibility. And so I want you to think of this schedule as like a contract. You've got to hit these times. And if your boss doesn't want to give you time, or if you mess up your schedule, that's what you've got to do right now. You've got to figure that out. If you can't make this schedule, maybe you should drop and add it, another semester. Take the lecture section, which is a little bit easier as far as scheduling and stuff. And a side note here: the Wednesday exam on November 21st, exam 3, that's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving Day. So you'll be taking it, and you can take it from wherever you want, wherever you happen to be on Thanksgiving vacation. So Exam procedures. You're going to be using Proctor Hub, and that involves, I've got a page set up for you with a blurb about Proctor Hub, how it works, and so forth. But in general, there's no makeup exams. So there's no early exams. There's no delayed or late exams. There's only the exams on that schedule. Now, I want you to be especially careful about the final. It's December 8th, Saturday. That's the UCF free period. So you've got to block out enough time. And if you have a job off campus or something, you also have to block off time to get to or from your job and then back to the job. So, there's a little bit more time leeway there from 8 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. On the final. I can't overemphasize this enough. Don't schedule travel or, your job without taking into account the fact that, you may need all 170 minutes for the final. I mean, it's probable that you'll finish before that, but it's not guaranteed. And if you feel like, you want to take all 170 minutes, but, you're getting into a bind, getting to the airport or to your job off campus, that's something you got to think about ahead of time. Because I never budge. I've got first priority on your time. And so you've just got to get it done. And here's a preview of the little blurb page I made about Proctor Hub. And you'll see this pretty much the same information at the beginning of each exam. So let's talk a little bit about exam procedures. This is a standard paragraph. At UCF, academics comes first. Attendance at exams is mandatory. University excused absences are only for religious observances, so like Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur or something. Intercollegiate athletics and activities, military call-ups, and university-verified family and or medical emergency. So, that includes hurricanes, which we had last fall. Weddings, plane tickets for Priceline.com, etc. Those are not legitimate excuses. You're going to have to deal with that. It's physics department policy that making up missed exams will only be permitted for university excused absences. Authentic justifying documentation must be provided in every case. And for those of you that are on UCF teams and clubs with travel, you're going to get me ahead of time the program verification sheet. And you can ask your advisor or your coach about that. At the discretion of the instructor, the makeup may take any reasonable and appropriate form, including but not limited to a replacement exam, replacing the missed work with the same score as a later exam, and allowing a dropped exam. Now, I underlined a dropped exam because that is what we do. We'll take your 3 exams and we'll drop the lowest grade, keep the best 2. But if you miss one, that becomes your dropped exam. And then we keep the other 2, whatever they happen to be. So another little blurb about the Proctor Hub tool. You're going to have to find a suitable computer with a web camera. And I believe that on campus you could, the computer labs or something are equipped in that way. But you're going to have to double check that yourself. And if you can't do that, you're going to be toast. All right, so start looking around about that right now and get ready for the first midterm next month. Now, for each exam, you can use a basic scientific calculator if you like a TI-30X. Anything that has a square root key should be fine. If you don't have one of those, you're going to be a little bit difficulty, but you have to be on time. So we don't permit late attempts after the deadline. All right, so you got over 12 hours, so everybody can hit that at some point if you plan. No cell phones are allowed during the exam, and so no cell phone calculators either. So you got to keep that put away. And if you forget your calculator, you should be fine doing a little bit of 6th grade long division on pencil and paper. It's not going to kill you. And there should be plenty of time to do that along with all the other questions. All right. Now, I want to talk about academic integrity for a minute. All UCF policies apply, including the Golden Rule and the UCF Creed. And in the past, we've had some cheating recently, and we've punished severely. There's a bunch of Z's on transcripts for students that we've apprehended. So you don't want to try to get into grad school or try to get a job with a Z on your transcript. So just don't do it. Homework is a study tool, though. So working on it with a friend is something I actually encourage. It's acceptable, but not on exams. You know your exam. I want you to do your own work, and don't share it with anybody. Okay, that's cheating too. All right, so don't do any of that stuff, because I don't have any hesitation punishing students. And we've got some people in the pipeline right now that are, and we'll put more in if it comes to it. So just stay on the sunny side of the street. Okay, accommodations. UCF is committed to providing reasonable accommodations for all persons with disabilities, and I share the same commitment. Students with disabilities who need accommodations must be registered with Student Accessibility Services, SAS. That's over in Farrell Commons, room 185. In case you don't know, the phone number's on the screen. You have to do that before requesting accommodations from me. The students registered with SAS that need accommodations, you must initiate contact through SAS and the Knights Access system. No accommodations will be provided until the student has used the SAS Knights Access to request accommodations. All right, and we do this every semester, so you just got to get your paperwork rolling through Knights Access, and then and we'll get the paperwork, and your exam will be ready for you. It works pretty good. Active duty military. If you have a call up and need to be excused, we'll handle that as a matter of course as your call ups it becomes necessary. So just let me know, and we'll get working on that. Earning points. The things that you do to earn your semester grade. Here's kind of a table of them. Each midterm is worth 50. Now we're going to keep the best 2. So that's a total of 100 between those midterms. And then homework, we're going to have more than 50 questions, but we're going to convert it down percentage-wise to 50 points. And then the final is 100 points. Now notice, the final is not 150, it's only 100. It's double the size of a midterm. So that means on the final, you have almost 3 hours versus the midterms, you have 1 hour. Now 1 hour for a 50-point quiz or a 50-point test, that usually works out pretty good. You're gonna have to work quickly, but it's not impossible. But the final exam is only 100 questions, 100 points. So, and you got 170 minutes for it, so it's a little bit less time pressure. Total of 250. Now, on top of that, there may be some bonus points that I award, various things. It's never going to be a whole lot, maybe 10 points over the semester, which is still nice. That's 10 points. That's a few percent. So, it's nice if you can get them. So, keep your eyes open for that. But there's, if you miss, if you don't do any homework, if you don't do the exams and stuff, bye-bye, because the bonus point activity is never gonna replace a midterm, not even close. So just get your points the regular way, and then see about getting the bonus points if you can. All right, office hours. We're going to have office hours online using the Adobe Connect. It works really well. There's a page for it in web courses. Here's what it looks like. See if you can get a USB headset or even use your earbuds. I sometimes use my earbuds for my iPhone here on my MacBook, and I have a USB headset, and I also use my earbuds sometimes too. So, anyways, you can when you go to online office hours, you can just text in questions. There's a chat box for that, but it's much faster and more efficient and much more effective if you can actually speak. And the software is very good, and we'll make recordings of it and stuff, and it works pretty good. People really like it. We've already had a session last night, but nobody came. But getting ready for the first midterm, I suppose we'll see some more of you at online office hours. Grades. Here's the grade scale. So what I do is after the finals in and graded, everything's squared away, I tally up everybody's points, including bonus points, and then I basically go to this table. And if you have 225 out of 250, then ding, you get an A. 188 for a B, 150 for a C, 125 for D, and if you're below 125, that's an F. Now, just so you know, the students that get D's and F's in this class are very few, and it's usually because they don't do any homework, okay? And sometimes because they don't take all the exams, for whatever reason. But usually students that are faithful about doing homework, do a normal amount of studying, and take 3 midterms, they may not get an A, but they're not going to flunk. All right, now that's not a solid promise because, it's still possible to flunk, but usually it works out that way. There's very few F's. All right, so that's it. And go back and read through the syllabus page carefully. There's a few more details in there that I didn't put into the YouTube here, but we hit the high spots, and you can read that syllabus page carefully. All right, I'll see you on the internet.